Nathan's combat class with Jason had turned dangerous. Nathan never backed out of a fight, but today was personal.
One day, I'll make your father my slave and piss on him.
And that was when Nathan lost his cool. Little did Nathan know, it was a fatal mistake.
Headmaster, stop the duel! Nathan, yield, please! I yield.
Not enough for me.
Nathan Clayfield, an innocent boy, died that moment, but his pain even melted God's heart. And he sent an ancient soul to reside in Nathan's body. Me, the greatest warrior to have ever lived. Now, I'll do whatever it takes to protect his home and family while I learn the ways of the new world. At first, I was confused. My memories were corrupted from my death 1,000 years ago.
I died of old age, the greatest master of Chi to ever live.
I achieved every possible skill. I mastered martial arts. When I died, it was with the peace of knowing I lived my life to its fullest. When I opened my eyes, I was in the body of a boy, 12 years old, murdered by a classmate for the sake of a grudge he knew nothing about.
The memories aren't mine, but they're clear. How Jason challenged Nathan to a duel and then used it as an excuse to rid the Hayfield family of its only successor. Nathan's teachers were present that day, including Headmaster Drogan Blackwood, but he turned his back while Jason beat Nathan to death. Why? I don't know, but I intend to find out. Now I feel the empty, broken body of a boy who died before his time. Revenge is something I have always had a talent for. Now I find the need for that talent arisen once more. Recovery, however, will take time. My new body is young, which is good. It is badly broken from that duel. His family did not believe he would survive his wounds, and they were right to fear. His soul was gone well before mine took its place. I allow myself to fill my new body and accept the name of Nathan Hayfield as my own. Please wake up, Amelia. The name comes to me quickly. Her face is familiar to me, although I do not know it myself. Amelia is my sister, sweet and loving. She must have been frantic over her brother, over me. Brother, you're awake, she says, through tears of joy as she fusses over me and takes my hand carefully. I am injured, terribly injured, but the injuries have at least been treated. I am on the mend. It will have to be enough, at least for now. We thought we lost you. Where am I? I ask. My mouth is dry and Amelia helps me sip that blessedly cool water flavored with mint until I feel able to speak. What happened? Jason Clay. She spits the name as if it's something foul. I don't blame her. If my new hazy memories are to be believed, the boy is deserving of more curses than my sweet sister will lay upon him. And the headmaster, it was. She trails off as she takes a deep breath to try and hold back tears. I reach out and squeeze her shoulder gently. She may not be my sister, but she is Nathan's sister. And I love her already from his memories of her. Nathan died fighting for her honor, and I would do the same without a second thought. She looks about 17. Older than my new body by several years, but still younger than my soul by many more. Slow down, I tell her soothingly. I'm all right, Amelia, just tell me what happened. I'm sorry. She sniffles and leans in for a careful hug. I'm sorry, it's just been hard. You died, and now you've come back, but we weren't sure if you would make it, and Father isn't even here. I pat her on the back until she feels strong enough to pull away. My new memories provide the name of our father, Ulrich Hayfield. A lowly noble, but a good man, a hard worker. I respect him. He does his best to care for us. Better than many fathers I've known. It's okay. It's okay. Where is Father? He went out to find a new healer, Amelia tells me, and helps me sit up so I can have more water. She props me up with a pillow, and I try not to let her see how much my injuries pain me. This body is not used to pain as my old one was. I will have to train quickly to regain my former strength. The last one told us there was nothing to be done. He said you would die. I'm not that easy to kill, I reassure her. Before I can say more, I hear a loud slam of a door and look up. My father. Ulrich stands in the doorway. His eyes are wide with disbelief. A healer stands behind him. Not a man I know, but it is clear what he is. Hello, Father. I have seen miraculous recoveries in my time, the healer says, and comes to my side wonderingly. He lays out his tools and I allow him to examine me. As he does, he grows more and more astonished. But this is astonishing. A head injury like this, I need not say this could have been your death, and has been the death of many before you. Even so, you must take as much time as you need to heal. I don't bother to reply. I too know how often a head wound like mine is lethal. They do not need to know that the boy who once held this body did die, and that I have taken his place. It would do them no good, and even less for me. I only nod carefully. He is right about one thing at least. I will need far more time to recover before I am able to seek out revenge for these injuries. It takes weeks for me to heal, weeks to recover from the beating that took my life. In that time, I build my strength back up with walks in the garden. Amelia and my father often accompany me, and through them I gain a greater understanding of our situation. Our house is on the edge of ruin. The greater houses, including Jason Clay's, want to see us destroyed. That I will not allow. The worst of them are the Ravens. Their ties to the Clay family are well known. They come around smelling blood, desperate to know if I survive the beating Jason Clay delivered. Nathan didn't, of course, but they don't need to know that. They all serve High Lord Raven, but he, of course, would never lower himself to come talk to us in person. No, he sent his lackeys, Grimgor and Arturus, to try and force my father into selling our land. Their threats are heavy-handed and without elegance. I despair for this new generation, even as rage boils in my blood. I will teach them what a true threat looks like. I will protect my new family from anyone who dares to attack them. I will not allow our noble status to be stripped away. My first task is regaining my true power. The power of Asura is a specific form of magic. It was rare even in my first life, and I have heard no mention of it in this one. I mastered it where so many others failed, and now it will be my greatest weapon against these new enemies. The power of Asura is unrivaled. Even the most basic Asura spells can drive an opponent to their knees. This body knows nothing of magic, but I will not let that stop me. I spend the rest of my recovery attempting my old skills. Nathan was sadly unable, I discovered. Barely a level 3 beginner, even the peasants of my time could do better. Still, it is a place to start, and start I must. My old spells are utterly beyond me, but they will come in time. I did not master the power of Asura the first time by giving up when it became difficult. By the time I am ready to return to the school, I have achieved a higher power than before the beating. Nathan Hayfield, surprised to see you here. Now that you're here, why don't you send your sister to my harem as my whore? Merrick Symington bursts into a chuckle. He is one of Jason's cronies. I remember this cruel joke. I feel just as enraged now as Nathan felt that day. He can't possibly know that I am not the same boy who left this school as a bloodied wreck. You know, Merrick, you've got a big mouth. Stick a sock in it. I don't want to hear you so much as mention my sister, I say without hesitation. He is a bully, and I am through allowing bullies to have their way with me or this school. Merrick, of course, does not take the hint. He never was very bright. You're asking for it, Hayfield, he shouts, all bluster in the face of my new confidence. Time to teach you a lesson. He swings at me, his punch pathetic, and so slow I can easily see it coming. I step out of the way and grab his wrist in my hand. It takes only the slightest effort to twist it until the bones crack under my tight grip. I twist a little harder just to make the point. His scream is more satisfying than it should be, but I don't deny my own enjoyment. He is cruel. I have no patience for wanton cruelty. Go cry to Jason Clay, I tell him when I release him. I'm surprised he's not here defending your worthless honor. Just you wait, Merrick yells from the floor when I drop him to the ground. You'll get what's coming to you. I ignore his threats. There is nothing he can do to me now. The crowd around me is loud with whispers, all wondering at the miraculous change in this new Nathan Hayfield. Good. I want them wondering. I want the rumors to spread. I want Jason Clay to know I'm coming for him. This is just a small taste of what I can do. Nathan, you're better, you're back. Baelor Graham, one of Nathan's few friends in the academy. They met as children and grew up together. He is one of my few allies in his school, and honorable despite his low birth. I went to your house, but your father wouldn't let me see you. He continues as he falls into step beside me, grinning. What are you doing back here? I honestly didn't think you'd ever come back. Why not? Because you know you almost died here, and Jason is still here. I didn't think you'd want to have to ever face him again. Guess not, considering what you did to Merrick, Baelor admits. I think he's taken aback by how I treated Merrick. He will learn quickly enough. You know that picking a fight with Merrick will just put you back on Jason's map. He'll put you in your grave if you're not careful. Aren't you worried for yourself? If Jason and his gang see you talking to me, aren't you afraid they'll come after you? I'm genuinely curious about his reply. Baelor is not a coward, but he is cautious. Given what he saw happen to me only a few weeks ago, he should be. He's not a powerful fighter, not yet. You know as well as I do that they don't see me as a threat. For whatever reason, you're the one they've chosen to pick on. They may learn better soon, I tell him confidently. But for now, my friend, it would be better to avoid my company. I need to have words with Headmaster Blackwood about why he would allow a student to be murdered on his watch. Why did Headmaster Blackwood let Jason Clay beat Nathan to death? Will Nathan regain his power? Will he be able to save his family from the evil House Raven?
Nathan went to the library, and as he walked there, his prying eyes searched for Jason Clay. So far, there had been no word of the bully, at least none that reached Nathan's ears. He recognized some of Clay's cronies staring daggers at him in classrooms and hallways, but had yet to glimpse the man himself. Nathan smiled. He's biding his time for a dramatic entrance. That's what I would do. While he waited in the library, Nathan practiced another Asura technique quietly. He channeled his energy into his fingers and sliced at a wooden dowel he brought for this purpose. Magical energy sliced out from his two pointing fingers and carved a thin line into the wood. Nathan cackled. He needed to go outside to practice this. It was called the razor finger. It could extend the cutting power of any object, and was the first step to eventually mastering the Asura slaying blade, a technique that couldn't just help him win duels. With such power, he could turn the tide in all-out war. A student barged into the library, sweating. Nathan recognized him immediately as Merrick Symington. Merrick rushed up to Nathan. Nathan tensed, ready to fight in case he needed to. The student held up his hands and breathed incredibly heavily.
Nathan, you have to come, quickly.
What is it?
It's Jason Clay. He's...
Nathan's eyes widened. He had a sneaking suspicion of what was to come next. What has Clay done?
He's captured Baelor Graham.
Nathan stood up from his library chair. Fury clouded his vision at the student's news.
Attacking me sideways, going for my friend instead of going for me? A coward's tactic.
Without a word, Nathan slung his bag over his shoulder and strode out of the library. Merrick Symington, the one who delivered the news, rushed behind him.
Where are you going?
To find Clay and put him in his place. The student behind him guffawed. Nathan turned, raising an eyebrow at the amused kid.
Is something funny? No, nothing. 'Tis only... Hayfield, you know you cannot possibly defeat Jason Clay. He nearly killed you last time.
Nathan smirked mysteriously. That will be my best asset. Overconfidence has slain more warriors than battle, famine, and illness all put together. Where are they? Merrick shrugged.
How should I know?
He turned to face Merrick. Merrick, though taller and broader than Nathan, took a step back in surprise. He had never seen such determination radiating from the 12-year-old's eyes. I know this is a trap, and Baelor is the bait. An odd plan, since both you and Clay seem to think me incapable of defending myself, and you are the one to lead me into it. Merrick's wide-eyed act fell from his face like melting snow upon a furnace.
Outside the city gates. Be not too long, though. I suspect Baelor's position to become uncomfortable.
With that, Merrick rushed down a hallway. Nathan grimaced. So this is the way of Calandria. The honorable suffer, whilst the powerful and corrupt make them their toys. He rushed first to the headmaster's office. No one answered. He knocked again. A passing student shook his head. 'Tis of no use, Hayfield. The headmaster is out for the day. Nathan felt his rage burning even stronger within him.
The Clays must have something to do with this.
He looked out from the headmaster's office, across the school's entrance hall. Dozens of students milled about.
If I am to be a hero, I cannot face my enemies unseen.
Nathan puffed out his chest and bellowed to the entire group.
Students of Mystic Blades!
The whole group paused, surprised at how authoritative Nathan's voice sounded.
Jason Clay has kidnapped Baelor Graham. I will face him and set my friend free. If you wish to be witness to my vengeance, then you know who to follow.
Without elaborating, Nathan rushed out the front door. He didn't glance behind him, but he could tell from the sounds that a fair few trainees were on his heels.
What's the runt doing? Surely he knows it's a trap. Dumb kid will be slain for sure this time.
Such a lack of faith made Nathan grin to himself.
They have no idea what a show they are about to see.
Nathan eventually reached the woods outside Godricshall, followed by close to 50 students from Mystic Blades. En route, the students exchanged money and promises. They weren't betting on whether Nathan would live. They were betting on how soon Jason Clay would kill him. Nathan quietly activated his Asura seeing eye. The colors around him illuminated, every pigment, every pulse of life showering his vision with sparks. The first person he saw was Baelor. At least, that's who Nathan assumed it was. A burlap sack was suspended upside down from a tree. It wriggled violently, making muffled noises of protest. Nathan snarled. The dishonor of this tactic continued to stoke his fury. He looked around, piercing the foliage with his enhanced vision. There, he saw his foes, Jason Clay, along with a half-dozen cronies. A realization struck him.
This ambush is not because the odds are against them. They just want to play with me.
The students behind him whispered. They knew something was going to happen. Nathan smiled.
If Clay and his goons want to play with me, why then, I shall play with them first.
He bent down and collected several stones. He stepped out into the clearing. With his magical eyesight, he saw the bullies' tents, ready to spring out. They were waiting for him to try to free Baelor first. Instead, Nathan held his left hand up, making his palm flat. He carefully arranged the stones in a semicircle, and then, with his right hand, he flicked the stones into the bushes, one after the other. As each rock disappeared into the underbrush, Nathan heard a dull thunk, followed by a grunt of pain. Every single missile hit true, striking the unseen foreheads of Clay and his gang. Once he was out of rocks, Nathan rushed forward to Baelor. The sack containing his friend was held by a rope tied to a lower branch. Nathan took a knife and sliced the rope, while holding the other end. He slowly lowered his friend down to the ground and cut through the burlap. Baelor's arms and legs were tied at the wrists and ankles. His friend was gagged, but he looked panicked instead of relieved to see his friend. Nathan first removed the gag. Baelor spoke as Nathan sliced through his other bonds.
Nathan, run! 'Tis a trap! Nathan Hayfield!
A booming voice came from behind Nathan and Baelor. They made eye contact. Baelor was quaking with fear. Nathan winked at his friend. He stood up and turned. At the other side of the clearing stood Jason Clay, surrounded by his 6 henchmen. Those included Merrick Smimington and, to Nathan's surprise, Cedric Raven, one of the most powerful of the older students in the school. They all had bruised and bleeding foreheads. The students who followed Nathan formed a semicircle around the clearing. Some grunted in frustration, having lost the bet that Nathan would die immediately. But nobody left. They were all riveted to see what happened next.
Hayfield? Thou foul worm! You couldn't just slink away to your pigsty of a hamlet and leave fighting to the real men?
Nathan gritted his teeth. I see no real men here, unless you refer to the ambulatory chamber pots standing in front of me. Clay laughed.
You're the one who will eat my night soil today, Hayfield. So stubborn, so weak. I can see why Father said I should kill you.
Something clicked in Nathan's mind. Jason Clay had inadvertently exposed his weakness, so Nathan leaned in. But you failed to do so, Clay. I imagine your father loved that. Perhaps he sent you to bed without supper, or maybe he called you names in front of the whole family. I imagine even your mother was ashamed of you. Jason's face reddened. Nathan grinned, relishing his foe's embarrassment. How did you spend the last few weeks in the academy? Boasting how you could have killed me, but chose not to? How it was crueler to let me live? Poor Jason Clay. He cannot even smash a cockroach without help from his daddy.
Enough!
Jason Clay roared and rushed at Nathan. He didn't need swords to kill this upstart whelp. All he needed were his fists. Nathan nimbly dodged Jason's fists and sidestepped until he was out of the way of the infuriated bully's strikes. He called out to the crowd. For this duel to be recognized, we need a noble witness, do we not? The assembled students nodded, stunned. Nathan pointed toward Jason's henchman. Will Cedric Raven be the impartial witness? The black-cloaked boy sneered and reared himself up to his full height. With pleasure, Hayfield. Tension laced through the crowd. They were shocked. They expected a slaughter, not a duel. Jason Clay laughed, still fuming.
Well, Hayfield, if this is to be a proper duel, then neither wood nor fists will suffice.
He drew out a long dagger with a bejeweled handle. He leered at Nathan.
Only steel will settle this battle.
Nathan drew out his knife, a shorter, blunter, simpler instrument than Clay's wickedly curved piece of art. So be it. Until satisfaction, then?
Until satisfaction.
Jason Clay lunged forward, and Nathan dodged again. He swung his knife at the exposed place where Nathan stood, but Nathan sidestepped again. The crowd watched Jason slash violently at Nathan again and again, coming close to injuring his foe with every strike, but also missing. Nathan's eyes never left Jason's. He felt power surging through his veins as his enemy screamed in impotent rage. So Nathan counterattacked. Jason Clay yelled in pain and stepped back. A line of red appeared on his cheek, blood dripping down the side of his face. He stared at Nathan in disbelief. Nathan's dagger point had the tiniest speck of crimson on it, but the 12-year-old was unspotted. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Do you yield? Clay lunged furiously. Nathan responded with 2 more strikes, lashing out as quick as an adder. Jason yelled in pain, clutching his arm and side, which were now marked by 2 deep slices. Nathan leapt back, avoiding Jason's blind slash. Do you yield?
I will sooner slay myself.
Jason lunged again at Nathan. This time, Nathan stabbed Jason in the leg. Jason cried out and lunged forward. Nathan ducked under the blow and struck Jason in the face with the pommel of his dagger. The crowd gasped as Jason's nose broke under Nathan's strike. Jason stumbled back, clutching his face with pain. The assembled students' jaws hung agape. They could not believe what they were watching. Nathan was not only winning, but winning easily. Nathan threw his dagger into the ground, It stuck in the dirt before his foe harmlessly. Jason looked at the thrown dagger confused. He bled from his face, nose, side, arm, and leg, but was miraculously still standing. Nathan directed his next statement at Jason, but loudly, so that the whole crowd would hear.
I have now repaid thee, Jason, blow for blow, for the injuries thou didst deal me a fortnight past, though with less cruelty than thou exhibited upon that occasion. With this, I am satisfied. Art thou? My response is in my blade, you weakling. Behold my ultimate move, steel-piercing thrust.
Jason's dagger glowed red with spiritual energy as he lunged toward Nathan. The unarmed Nathan sighed.
What a boring ultimate move. Even Clay should be capable of something more impressive.
He easily sidestepped the stab and seized Jason by the wrist, twisting. Jason yelled as his wrist broke. He dropped his dagger. Before the blade could hit the ground, Nathan caught it and kicked Jason in the chest. Jason toppled to the ground. Nathan placed his knee on the bully's chest and pressed the dagger against his foe's throat.
Do you yield?
White-hot fury burned in Clay's eyes, but even he knew that he had lost.
I yield. I think the crowd heard you not.
Through gritted teeth, Clay said it again.
I yield. Louder, you craven bull's pizzle. I yield.
The whole audience assembled said nothing. They were stunned into silence. Nathan had defeated Jason without even breaking a sweat. Nathan stood up from his defeated foe and tossed his dagger to the side. He spared no words for Jason as he walked back toward Baelor and retrieved his old knife. Baelor started clapping fiercely. He cheered for his friend. No one else joined him. They were all too stunned. Jason Clay struggled to his feet. He fixed his eyes on Nathan and Baelor. Nathan had walked back to the tree to retrieve his bag, leaving Baelor in the open. Jason Clay seized up his dagger. He yelled and grabbed Baelor by the collar of the shirt.
I am not satisfied.
Before Graham could scream, Jason's dagger was at the mop-haired boy's throat. Baelor cried out as blood began to flow from his neck. In a split second, Nathan turned and threw his knife, which stuck into Jason Clay's forehead. Baelor clutched the shallow cut on his neck, and 50 students stood, unable to speak over Jason Clay's lifeless body. Cedric Raven stared at the lifeless body of Jason Clay, his mouth hanging open. Now that he was silenced forever, the tyrannical, bloodthirsty boy did not look like the bully of Mystic Blades. He did not appear as the one who nearly killed a child 3 years his junior. He just looked like a 15-year-old, untimely cut off from life. The expression frozen on his lifeless face was one of pure shock. Nathan Hayfield and Baelor Graham stood there above the vanquished Clay. Nathan, basking in triumph, and Baelor clutching his slightly cut neck. A trickle of blood ran between his fingers. Cedric shut his mouth and glowered at these two. Meanwhile, students from Mystic Blades stood around the clearing and started murmuring to each other.
Since when was Nathan Hayfield so powerful? He defeated Jason like he was nothing. He caught him by surprise, that's all. Are you sure? Nathan doesn't have a drop of blood on him.
Cedric shook his head, clearing it. He barked at Merrick Symington. Immediately, the 50 students watching went silent.
You, report this to the headmaster Blackwood immediately. He will wish to alert the Clays that their younger son is dead.
Merrick ran off without delay. Cedric whirled on Nathan and Baelor. He folded his arms and wrinkled his nose. He did not seem to possess satisfaction in confronting these two.
I hope you're proud of yourself, Hayfield. A student lies dead by your hand. I do not think anything short of an axe blade
will serve as a sentence for you." Nathan stood his ground. From his studies of the past few days, he knew that Duke Godfrey Godrickson was a fierce proponent of righteous justice. If he was able to stand court in the Owl's Eye, he would surely get a fair trial. Cedric was bluffing, and he knew it. "The Duke of Godric's-Land will not condemn a duel sanctioned by a noble witness, unless you are relinquishing your nobility." The crowd smothered their laughter at Nathan's barbed comment toward Cedric Raven, but the son of High Lord Remus Raven disregarded the insult and shot back. "I do not remember a duel taking place. I remember a slaughter. An innocent child, born to a noble family, brimming with potential, cut down in the prime of his youth. And I'm sure that's how the headmaster, the Duke, and everyone else will receive it. Does anyone dare challenge my memory?" With the question, Cedric Raven turned to the crowd. They all shrank before his gaze. Nathan seethed in rage. "Of course the nobility will not stand for truth. Foolish of me to expect it." Cedric turned back to Nathan and Baelor, a smug look of contempt upon his face. "Alas, poor little Hayfield. I wonder who they will execute first, you or your pathetic playmate?" Baelor tugged on Nathan's sleeve. "Come on, Nathan. We must leave. The nobility will back him, and that makes us as good as dead." Nathan glared at his friend. "Would you relinquish your honor so easily? We are innocent, and the world will know it. If we fly, the world will see us as guilty before we can mount a defense in our own name." Baelor winced. Nathan felt a pang of guilt for insulting his friend. He placed his hand upon Baelor's shoulder. "Save thyself. I will clear both our names." Baelor glanced back up into Nathan's eyes with a look of fierce determination. "Not a chance. We got ourselves here together, and together is how we shall leave it." Nathan nodded. He turned back to Cedric Raven. "So, Cedric, was this the plan all along? To slay me, weaken my father, and then House Raven steals our lands and titles from us?" Cedric growled. "A scurrilous accusation. Your titles and lands are not worth a flagon of cow's piss." Nathan laughed. "I have no doubt that is what you believed, until this flagon of cow piss hurt your own ambitions." He took steps toward Cedric. "Come now, little Raven. We need not wait for the headmaster or the Duke's men to settle this. We can settle it here and now." He bent down and pulled his knife out of Jason Clay's skull. Nathan took a corner of the dead boy's tunic and wiped his bloody dagger off on it. All the while, his eyes never left those of Cedric. Cedric began to feel uneasy. Nathan Hayfield was clearly much more powerful than he seemed. He began to doubt whether he could match someone who slew Jason Clay so easily. "Dost thou challenge me to a duel? On the heels of one that just finished?" Nathan stood and nodded. "Aye. Come on, Cedric. Why do you not show me how a real spiritual warrior defeats his foes?" He then lowered his voice dramatically. "Or art thou too afraid?" Some shouts and jeers came from the crowd. "Aye, Cedric! Show him! He will not be taken off guard as Jason was. Wipe the smile off that little murderer's face." Cedric clenched his jaw. He opened his mouth, just about to respond, but before any words could issue from his lips, a booming voice cut him off.
"Stop this, in the name of Duke Godrickson!"
Headmaster Drogan Blackwood marched into the clearing, followed by 6 of Godrickshaw's guards. His cloak trailed behind him as he towered over Nathan and Baelor.
"Nathan Hayfield and Baelor Graham, how dare you two stain the name of this academy with a foul murder?"
Nathan smiled tightly at the headmaster.
Headmaster, so good of you to join us. I'm amazed you could make the time, considering how dedicated you are to avoiding interference in duels between students.
A shocked gasp passed through the crowd. The students assembled were shocked that Nathan could be so bold as to challenge the headmaster like this. Nathan felt Baelor tense at his side, but he nevertheless continued.
But I suppose if the son of my wealthy patrons died, then I'd be forced to play nice.
The headmaster colored at Nathan's flagrant accusations.
Such impertinence, boy! To call this a duel? Look at you! You are unscathed, and Clay is cut to ribbons. This clearly shows it was wanton murder. Guards, arrest these boys!
The guards took a step forward, but Nathan held his hand up.
Certainly the sworn men and women of Godricshall would not arrest innocents without hearing their plea.
The headmaster scoffed, but the guards held their place as Nathan continued.
According to the Calandrian Code of Dueling, a sanctioned duel is any duel that takes place witnessed by a noble. Such duels are protected by the rules of honor.
The headmaster glowered at Nathan.
So you did your reading while you recovered. I am impressed, considering how mediocre a student you were. Very well. Who was the noble who witnessed this duel?
Nathan pointed a finger at Cedric. Headmaster Blackwood turned toward Cedric incredulously.
Well, Cedric, what say you? Did you witness said duel?
With barely a breath's pause, Cedric Raven responded.
I'm afraid not, Headmaster. The young vagabond is grasping at straws.
The headmaster whirled on the assembled students.
Did anyone see the sanctioning of the duel that took place?
At that moment, all of the Mystic Blades students took a very keen interest in their boots. The headmaster grunted in frustration. Baelor stood forward.
I can witness.
Blackwood chuckled.
Believe him not, guards. This ruffian is Hayfield's lapdog.
But I have proof.
Baelor pulled down his collar and showed the still fresh wound on his neck.
Jason Clay nearly severed my throat. If Nathan hadn't slain him, then I would be dead in his stead.
The headmaster paused. Some of the guards looked toward him, unsure now as to what they should do. He stuttered.
It is...
Another shouting voice interrupted them again.
Which bastard was it that slew my nephew?
Two figures rushed into the clearing. One was a man in his 40s, bald, with a large beard. On his back, he carried a giant battle axe. Few knew him by his name, as he was a member of the Clay family. Most knew him by his reputation. It was his deft use of the blade in battle which gave him the name Golden Axe. His brother was Byram Clay, Jason's father, and the patriarch of the Clay family. Alongside Golden Axe was a much younger fellow, a teenager with a shaggy beard, but other than that, bearing a striking resemblance to the bully who lay dead there. This was Michael Clay. The headmaster bowed before Golden Axe.
It was the young man over there.
Turning his gaze upon Nathan and Baelor, Michael produced a hand axe from his belt and lunged forward, as if ready to cut down the other two. A pair of guards got in his way. Michael roared in frustration.
Out of the way, you hedge-born cankers! I need vengeance for my little brother.
Nathan spoke around the guards.
You cannot avenge someone who sought his own end. I am more than willing to put thy overactive tongue to the test.
Golden Axe placed his hand on his living nephew's shoulder.
Calm thyself. Headmaster Blackwood can mete out justice impartially. We have no need to impose upon his will.
Nathan laughed. The entire assembled group of students, the Clays, the guards, the headmaster, and Baelor all looked at him as if he was mad.
Of course you do not impose upon his will. You know well that Headmaster Blackwood has no will. Nor do you. Nor does Cedric. Nor even did Jason. Their will is that of High Lord Remus Raven, and he knows well that the High Lord Raven will not suffer such insults from an upstart hayfield.
The headmaster attempted to interrupt Nathan.
I have had enough of this nonsense. Guards!
Will you kill us here, headmaster?
Heavens forfend that we might be taken before the Duke. Then we might see a semblance of justice. But based on what I have beheld here, I slightly doubt that truth and honor mean anything in Godric's land. Behold, the head of the Mystic Blades Academy. He will look at a boy who barely escaped death and claim the scar on his throat is counterfeit. Anything to appease his master.
The guards lowered their spears and approached Nathan and Baelor. They marched steadily forward. Nathan's grip tightened on his dagger. He began strategizing combat moves. He did not wish to take innocent lives, but if the other option was to have his life snuffed out by the minions of the High Lord Raven, he had no choice. He murmured softly to Baelor,
Get ready to run.
6 guards. He had not tested this level of his abilities yet in battle, but there was always to be a first time. He twirled his dagger so its blade faced upwards. That way, he would have mobility. Most suits of plate armor were weak in the joints, so he could disable 3 soldiers by aiming for their necks, knees, elbows, and underarms. He would show the headmaster and his cronies the price of believing a raven's falsehood.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.